Hi, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Diane Brusoe. I am the Property Planning Section Chief here at the Department of Natural Resources, and I'm glad that you took the opportunity to tune in today to learn a little bit more about what the Property Planning Section does here at the Department. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what planning means, also about how the DNR plans, what is our approach for planning, as well as, what does it mean to you? Why should you care that we're planning, and how does that change the way that you spend your time outdoors? So we all plan, right? We wake up in the morning, we have a plan for the day, we work plan, we vacation plan, we hopefully a retirement plan. Big picture planning has to do with really setting that goal and then thinking about what are the steps, what are the tasks, what are the resources that we need in order to achieve that goal. And that's the same thing that we do, that department staff do when we plan here at the DNR. With over 1 million acres that we manage of department lands, we really need to have a plan in place and to think about what are the steps that we need to be taking. How do we prioritize our resources in order to achieve that goal of having that great experience for all of the people statewide that want to use our properties. So really, DNR staff, we master plan really to get a sense of what are the current conditions. We take an opportunity to inventory, again, the existing conditions. What resources are we currently managing for? What is the infrastructure on our property? We've got dikes, we've got roads, we've got trails and campgrounds. What are the current conditions of all of the resources that we have on our properties? Once we know those existing conditions, that really gives us a better opportunity to analyze. How are things working? Where are we with what might need replacement? Where could we maybe make some management changes that really might get us a little bit farther down the road for, again, those long-term vision and goals. All of the properties statewide, we've got the wildlife areas, parks, forestries, state natural areas. Each of them have their own vision and goals in place, and having that plan helps us really to understand what the best use is for all of our department properties statewide. And really that helps us to prioritize our activities. We know within given properties what those priorities are, where we need to manage and focus our limited resources. Planning also gives us an opportunity to really take that time to work across program. Within our again, a particular property or wildlife area, we still need to work with the other programs out there to understand what resources are there, how we're managing it, and what recreation opportunities are there. Planning gives us that opportunity to have those conversations. And perhaps most importantly, planning gives us that opportunity to engage with the public. We have that built into the process. So this is your opportunity to say, I understand about this property, this is what's important to me, and this is maybe giving us some feedback on how we're doing with managing our properties. So when we talk specifically about master planning for department properties, we have a lot of our administrative codes and state statutes. We have that guidance in place that really helps us to establish that process and the procedures that we follow. That really gives us an idea of really always providing that consistent process, that look and feel of what that final product and the plan will be. It gives us what the general content of the plan should be. Again, giving us that consistent message for our property managers who need to be managing, as well as for the public who are out there that like to enjoy using our properties. In general, our plan content, we always want to focus on the land management as well as the resource protection. What are those management pieces that we need to be keeping in mind? Again, those steps that we need to be taking in order to reach that vision and goal that's been established. We also need to take a look at what are the existing recreational uses on a property, think maybe about some of the trends that are out there, and to think about what other opportunities are out there that we could be providing on some of our properties, as well as what is that facility development and then infrastructure needed to support our resource management, our recreation management, and public use of our properties. So regional planning. I know many of you out there watching have been engaged in our property planning over the years. I've had an opportunity to meet many of you statewide as we have been doing our property planning over the years. And you might be asking, what is regional planning? Why are we changing how we're doing planning now? And one of my most important takeaway messages from today, if anything, is that we are not changing the planning. Our planning process remains the same. The process and the standards, the procedures that I explained that are outlined within our administrative code, those aren't changing. We are still continuing to do planning the way that we have been doing it. The main difference is really in how we are grouping our properties. And I think we, hopefully you all appreciate the comprehensiveness and the value of the individual plans that we have been able to develop and approve over the years. I think what we are realizing is that we do have properties out there that maybe don't have that same level of management plan in place, and we really see this as a great opportunity to think about how we are developing those plans and to take advantage of the existing resources that we have in place. Some of the slides, or the pictures in the slide here, are some of the key resource documents that we use within our decision making at the department. We've got our Land Legacy Report, our Ecological Landscapes of Wisconsin, as well as our Wildlife Action Plan that really helps in a lot of our department decision making. And the basis for many of these reports is the Ecological Landscapes of Wisconsin, which really, in thinking about how we can plan for our natural resources, makes that the perfect region to base our planning process on. This map here, again, identifies the 16 ecological landscapes of Wisconsin, and they're really formed by understanding or established the lines of each of the landscapes are really based on what are those physical and biological characteristics across the state and across different parts of the state. For many of you that have traveled across the state, you understand there are different parts, different fields of the state, and I think most of those will be reflected here by the ecological landscapes. I want to draw your attention a little bit here in the northwest part of these 3 ecological landscapes up here. I'll be talking about those a little bit later in the presentation. But again, I think, what we're doing, the planning process we're doing is the same. What we're taking into consideration are thinking and planning at that larger landscape level, and having that ability to think about not only an individual property on a particular piece of the land, but to think about where does that fit within the landscape, where does that fit within the state of Wisconsin, and that really gives us a better opportunity to manage our resources statewide. So again, then moving into what are the benefits? Why are we moving to this regional planning approach? And I really think that there are a lot of benefits to be gained. One of the most important is that, again, it gives us that opportunity to take a more comprehensive, holistic view of what our resources are out there. Planning at that regional landscape level gives us that opportunity to be planning and considering and analyzing at multiple scales. So even though we are planning at an ecological landscape, we will still be thinking about how does that individual property fit within the landscape, and how does that landscape fit within the state. And taking this approach gives us the opportunity to, again, prioritize our limited resources and think about where is the best place, the best fit of the department properties that we are managing to manage for a given special resources, important habitats, or again, recreation opportunities that we provide statewide. Efficiencies, again, to be gained by prioritizing, and really by taking that broader look, we're engaging people more often, I would say, giving them more opportunities really to be engaged in our planning, and gives us really a more responsive, transparent decision making when we're able to help folks understand why we may or may not be managing for a given resource or a given recreation opportunity on any one particular property, when we're able to explain why it might be offered at a different property. So what does this mean for me? Why should I be engaged in planning? Why might I care about planning? And really, I hope, again, another takeaway message is that we really do want your feedback. The way that our administrative code and our process and procedures are established really are set up to engage the public at various decision-making points throughout the planning process. And really can't emphasize that enough, that we want your feedback. Some key pieces within a planning process are when we first engage the public. We're kicking off a planning process here, which we will be here on one of the next slides. When we kick that off, we want to let folks know, where are we planning? What properties are we planning for? And we're asking for your help in identifying what are either resource management issues or concerns that you may have on a given property. Maybe there's a rare plant or an important natural community that's out there on the landscape. I'm a bird watcher. I want to see a particular species. Maybe some way that we do our management would help to improve a habitat for hunting or for game or non-game species, really. And even recreation. Maybe you see some gaps, some needs. Boy, I sure wish that there was a different opportunity provided here that I'm not seeing that I'd really like the department to maybe help fulfill that gap. So that issue identification when we kick off a planning process is really important for the public to be engaged and to help us identify from a different perspective than we may have at the department. After that first one, we take that public input and we're identifying issues. Department staff take that information back to our integrated planning team. Again, we have all programs across the department that are engaged within our planning processes. And we take these issues back and we start thinking about how can we manage for these? How can we address some of the concerns and issues that the public has identified for us? And thinking through some of those using, again, our resource experts to think about what are the capabilities that we have. That helps us to evaluate and to develop some management alternatives, that different ways, different approaches that we might be able to incorporate to address some of those issues. Another key point then in the public involvement process is when we're able to take some of those management alternatives that staff developed and we bring them back out to the public and we say, all right, this is what we heard. These are some issues that you felt that you wanted addressed. We worked together as our integrated team to come up with these alternatives. How did we do? Did we address some of your issues? Which of these alternatives do you feel best meets addressing those issues? And really often we're always looking for that balancing act. We need to have sustainable management of our resources. We want to provide recreation opportunities, but we also want to make sure that those opportunities are all quality experiences. So that's stuff that we all take into consideration when we're evaluating these management alternatives. And that's another key point, again, already built into our planning process when we come back and ask for your feedback. So it's really important. What does this mean to me? It hopefully means a whole lot to you. We really want to take that opportunity to engage you, to get your feedback, and have you help us to make the best management decisions for our properties. So what's next? When is your next opportunity to be engaged? Just this week, we sent out the first news release announcing that we've got some public meetings coming up next week. We'll be kicking off master planning. Again, if you note when I showed in the northwest part of the state on the ecological landscape map, we have 3 regions that we'll be planning for. That's the Superior Coastal Plain, the Northwest Sands, and the Northwest Lowlands, all located in the northwest part of the state. 3 distinct landscapes, but given their proximity and similarities and characteristics, we will be planning for all 3 of them concurrently. So next week is your first chance here to be engaged. We've got a meeting set up on Tuesday, April 3rd in Ashland. We'll be at the Northern Great Lakes Visitor Center, and the meeting runs from 5 to 7. It'll be an open house format, and what that means is that we'll have different stations set up around the visitor center. We'll have our resource experts there on hand to answer any questions that you may have about wildlife, fisheries, forestry, some of the recreation uses at the parks. We'll have comment forums available to fill out when you're there. We'll have maps, again, mostly there just to answer your questions and to be engaged and to be there for you to contribute and provide your feedback. The next meeting then is Wednesday the 4th in Spooner, and that one will be at the DNR Service Center. Again, the meeting is from 5 to 7. Both meetings will have that similar format, that similar open house format, and we really find that we get better interaction, and I know that all department staff really look forward to that interaction with the public and being able to answer your questions and get you engaged. So on these particular regions that we're kicking off, again, this is the very first time that we're engaging the public. Again, in that issue identification, and the public comment form period on this particular one runs March 27th to April 16th. So hopefully you will come to these meetings, fill out questionnaires, surveys, and provide feedback there. And if you're not able to make the meeting, that's okay. All of the same information will be available on our web, as well as opportunities to provide public comments. So this is where you can find it. You might be asking, can't make it? No worries. Where can I find more information? So if you go to our department website at dnr.wi.gov, and the keywords are master planning, that'll take you to this home page that we have. This helps you understand which plans we have in progress, as well as maybe some of the administrative codes, some of that guidance that I talked about that established our procedures and the times that we're engaging the public. And so once you're here, we're just going to use as an example, we're going to get into the Superior Coastal Plain, because that is one of them that we will be kicking off next week. So when you get to this, to the page for whichever landscape we happen to be planning for, we'll have some basic information getting you into the landscape. And I know ecological landscape might be a new concept to many of you, but it's okay. We're here to educate you and to help to understand how your favorite property fits within each of these ecological landscapes. So once you get to this page, you'll see we always have that locator map, because again, a landscape is new to many folks, but to help orient you where a particular landscape is, this shows you where in the state a particular landscape is. This blown up map then, with the numbers on it, identifies where the department properties that we will be planning for are located, and then on the right hand column over here, the corresponding numbers will take you to each specific property. If you're looking for additional property information, you can find that. If you want just a specific property, maybe is your favorite place that you go to recreate, you'll be able to find the information that way as well. Again, we have the planning update, provides the information, meeting dates, times, locations, and of course that questionnaire. Really want that feedback. So let's see if we can scroll up to the map once. This is something new that we're doing, and compliments of the staff. I hope you guys enjoy this. We hope to keep building on this. But if you come to this map and you click on the map, we're trying to develop something that's a little bit more interactive to be able to get a feel for what some of these properties are by including some pictures of the properties. So again, we're up here. Here are the 3 landscapes that we're planning for. And yeah, using these plus or minus, you're able to zoom in to a particular property that you might have an interest in. By clicking on any one of the numbers here, that will take you into whatever the particular property is. There's usually at least one photo. If you've got great photos, send them our way. We can add more. Within each of the properties then, you can learn more just about a particular property, what some of the management considerations are for those. We've got a little write-up below for each one, kind of really highlighting what's special and unique about each of the properties within that landscape. Similarly, we've got a link to that online survey. So we're really trying to get a lot of feedback. That really helps at our job when we understand what people's concerns and issues are. So let's see, yeah, you were on the survey. Hopefully the survey is self-explanatory. Can you click on that one more time once maybe? I won't go through the questions, but you'll see there are just a lot of yes, no, and clicking next. You can also orient you. We're interested in finding out, what brings you to the region? How often do you recreate there? When do you recreate there? And so hopefully you'll take the time. The questions are set up as well in a way that you can answer as many questions or as few questions as you want. If you want to provide feedback on every property in the region, you can do that. If you have just a favorite one that you want to provide feedback on, you can do it just for one property too. So really encourage you to click around in here, explore, and provide your feedback. So if you want to go back to the main one. So, could you go back just one more slide here? And Down here, this little red envelope, sometimes if you talk to any department staff, they might be talking a lot about the little red envelope. On each of those planning pages that we were just on the right-hand corner, you'll find that little red envelope with a link to subscribe to receive information about them. So if you do want to receive information on any given landscape, please, I encourage you to, just click on that, provide an email, and anytime that we are making updates to the planning page, if we're announcing new meetings, when we provide a summary of the meetings that we have, when we post that, if you provide your email address and submit that, that goes on to what we call our Gov delivery. It comes to an email listserv that when we do make updates to any of these pages, we then can go to the listserv associated with these pages and provide updates for anyone that's interested in receiving information. Again, in these planning updates, right now what we have are announcing the meetings. In future ones, any planning updates, again, meeting minutes or summaries, additional drafts that are out there for review, we post those on our planning updates and you receive an email notification that that information is posted and is there for your review and comment. So again, that was a real quick overview of what we do in property planning and what that means to department properties. I think you have an opportunity, hopefully, if you have any questions, please submit the questions. And our department staff will take a look at those questions and we'll do our best to get you answers to those questions that you have. Again, anything that we can do to educate you about the process that we're undertaking, what plans mean to you, and how they really help to guide the management and use of our department properties, we're always interested in your feedback. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch and provide your feedback, and I hope to see you at one of our upcoming meetings. Thank you.